Hi and welcome. It's HB. I've been inspired to make this video because I've been getting plenty of questions with regards to intermittent fasting, the different types of diets that people should have, what they should eat, shouldn't eat, and I thought I'd go and do a very simple breakdown. So I have plenty of patients who come to me and they have various reasons for why they want to change their diet. They either want to lose weight, or they have particular symptoms they want to get rid of, or they have read this fabulous article, watched this YouTube video, and they think, I think if I only change the diet, then I'd be able to reach my perfect weight. There are many types of diets that you can find on the internet. Lemon water diet, the intermittent fasting, you have the carnivore, the keto, slow carb, all kinds of different things. So how do you know which one actually works? Right? And how do you know what type of diet you should actually have? Well, before we go through and look at all the complicated stuff, I think we should start with the very simple thing, and that is where you are currently at. We should do a stock take. We should look at where your body is signaling at the moment and what it's telling you. So what I mean by that is very simple. If weight is your focus, then you should look at your current weight and your current lifestyle. And what that tells us is that your current lifestyle supports your current weight. You might not like your current weight, but what your body is telling you is that, hey, if you live like this, this is the weight I'm going to be, right? So the combination of how much you eat, when you eat, the type of foods that you eat, together with activity levels that you have, dictate the weight that you're currently at. Now, obviously, that's not taking into account any medical conditions and stuff like that. So if you know you have no medical issues, no thyroid problems, no autoimmune issues, no gut issues, then this is generally true. The amount of energy that you expend plus the amount of energy that you take in equals the weight that you currently have. That's a very simplistic way of understanding it, but it also shows you how important it is in terms of the types of levers that you have to be able to affect your weight. Now, a very simple example of that is if somebody exercises a ton, right? And nowadays, a lot of people don't really get much exercise. The minimum 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, most people don't even reach that. They think incidental exercise is what is important, and incidental being how much you actually expend to go to work or to just get ready for life or to navigate through your day-to-day without actually dedicating exercise time. If you actually look at kids and how they function, they're constantly on the go, right? They are not concerned about energy conservation. They're actually more concerned about getting out of life as opposed to getting through life. And because of that, they have a lot of incidental energy use. You ask them to go to the front door, they will literally stand up and then sprint. You want them to go upstairs, they're running up the stairs, right? And my kids do exactly the same thing. So what is it about adults that we're in energy conservation mode, right? Why do we believe that there is a finite amount of energy and we have to conserve it so that we can get through the day, right? So there is something there in the background that is also playing. The other thing is, now that you have an understanding of, okay, the way my life looks right now is the exact reason why my weight is the way that it is right now. And if I had the activity levels of my 2-year-old or my 5-year-old or my 10-year-old, that would look very different, right? And what that actually means is that we need to significantly increase the exercise level if we were to have any chance of actually getting the type of results that we want to see. It's the same with regards to food. If you think, hey, currently I eat this much, I eat this way, I eat at this particular frequency, and it's giving me this output, if you want to change any of those, you are going to have to change the output from your intake. And that's again where fasting comes in, and that drastically changes input. So if you are very honest with yourself and you look at your life and you look at what your weight has been doing or how your health has been going, how your energy levels have been going, and you're thinking to yourself, if I only change the diet, this would happen, without thinking about if I don't change any of my physical activity, then you're perhaps kidding yourself, right? They go hand in hand. We were born to move and we were born to actually cyclically eat, if that makes sense, right? And this is not a new concept. You don't eat 24 hours a day. You eat in chunks. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you are enculturated within most different cultures. And you behave that way because you were taught that this is how it is that you should eat. Now, the question is, should you be eating 3 times a day, right? Maybe it's more suitable for you to eat once a day. Maybe it's more suitable to eat twice a day. Perhaps you should be eating 5 small meals during a particular period of time. So there are lots of different variables you can actually change. But the gist of it is the amount of stuff that we actually put in, the quality of stuff you actually put in, and the amount of activity that you then embark upon. And if we get those things right, generally, everything else takes care of itself. So you go, hey, HB, should I actually be fasting? And the answer is, you should try, right? I don't know how your body is going to respond. I know what the research shows, what your metabolism is likely to do, what you are going to experience, but can I definitively say that you should fast? No, that's a decision that you're going to have to make, right? Just like I can't definitively say eggs are good for you. Again, let there be light. Just like I can't definitively say that eggs are good for you, that peanuts are bad for you, there are so many different things in our lives where it's so important to understand the nuance. Just because a lot of people eat something doesn't mean it's good for you specifically, right? And just because everybody doesn't eat something doesn't mean it's bad for you. And that is where biological individuality comes in. And there's so much richness in the expression of human life. There's so much variability in terms of what we can tolerate as individuals that it is important to pay attention. And where you pay attention, you'd be able to identify the things that work for you. When I was on my journey, I questioned whether or not breakfast was necessary. I keep hearing that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. I've grown up eating breakfast every single day of the week. I've never actually thought I should not eat breakfast. Then one day I heard about intermittent fasting and I thought that sounds like a grand idea. I didn't care about the benefits. I wasn't looking for longevity. I didn't even know what autophagy was. I just thought, hey, that's interesting. If I don't eat, then I might have more energy to actually do other stuff because digestion consumes 30% of our basal metabolic rate. And that is quite an energy intensive process, right? In comparison, the brain chews up 20% of the available basal metabolic energy. So when you think about that, you go, right, if that is the case, if I don't use my gut, I get to save 30% of the energy. Or if I use my gut less, I get to save 10%, 15% of that, right? So that's where I started. And I experimented by changing what I ate during the day. In the morning, I'd try fasting. That didn't work out well initially because I didn't understand it. And I was going into it cold turkey. I didn't have the right motivation. And I was like, oh man, this is terrible. And after a few days, I thought, this is not for me. And then I tried having carb-heavy meals for breakfast. And what I noticed was that within an hour and a half, 2 hours, I needed to eat again. Didn't last very long. And then I experimented with protein-heavy meals. And I could last longer, about 2 or 3 hours. And I experimented with fat-heavy meals, and that took me the longest. It took me 3 or 4 hours until I needed to eat again. And so I understood, that's interesting. Based on the composition of stuff that I actually eat, that will decide what the actual output becomes. So I got to see a very different version of my breakfast, right? So instead of eating refined cereals, carbohydrates, stuff like that, I had much heavier type meals, more protein based, more fats. And I thought, well, that's okay. More protein, more fats, kind of like, bacon and eggs. But the problem with bacon and eggs, as I later found out, was that there are lots of nitrosamines inside the bacon. There are nitrites. There are also all kinds of preservatives. There is an increased link to colon cancer if you consume processed meat frequently. So that was something that I decided had to go and made some different tweaks. And eventually, when I got my mind straight and decided to experiment properly with intermittent fasting, it's like a timer just telling you, hey, it is time for a mental break so that you can refresh re-energize, and get the point. You know, videos that have lots of starts and stops are the ones that you actually retain the best, because memory works best by actually having starts and stops. We remember much more of what happens at the start versus what's happened at the end compared to the middle bits. It's very easy to forget the middle bits. Right? And you only have to think about movies and you can see, oh, right, it's only very specific moments that stick in our mind, but generally the start and the finish you remember. Anyways, I digress. So, looking at this and experimenting with intermittent fasting, what I decided was, okay, if I'm not going to eat, what I'm going to do is just delay the amount of time, delay the start time of my eating. So instead of eating at 7, I started eating at 8. Instead of eating at 8, I started eating at 9. Instead of 9, 10. And then by the time I got to there, I'm like, I'm just going to skip breakfast altogether because it's inconvenient to try and eat and then after that have lunch straight away, right? So I skipped breakfast completely and I felt fine. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And then I experimented by skipping lunch, going later, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5, 6, 7, and then I could do a 24-hour fast, no problems whatsoever, right? And what I noticed was that when I did reintroduce, when I did eat, I could feel what the food was doing to me. The way my body responded, whether it felt heavy, whether it felt like there was just too much, whether it was lethargic after, whether I had an energy spike and then an energy crash, it became very clear because I now had my sensitivity back, right? And you would have experienced this too. If you have been thirsty for any period of time and you ignore the thirst, eventually the thirst signal just turns off, right? And when the thirst signal turns off, you can go many, many hours before you re-engage with it. But if you re-engage and then you hydrate, your body goes, there is water, he's listening. Now you start to be able to feel again, all right? So experimenting is going to be one of the major ways that you discover what is unique to you and what works for you, because when you experiment in the right way and you open up your body's sensitivity, you get insights that are unique to you, which are much more important than any lab-based test that you can do, right? Lab tests certainly have their spots in this, and we will discuss that at a different video, but this is such a big thing because most people have lost touch with who they actually are, how their bodies actually feel, and what is actually going on, right? Most people don't feel something until it is too late. And in this case, I'm advocating don't do that. I'm advocating that you pay attention to your body signals, allow it to talk to you, to inform you, and once you hear, feel, and notice those particular sensations, you can make choices that are uniquely beneficial to you. Right? So should you fast? Experiment. Should you give up eggs or red meat? Experiment. Should you give up meat? Be vegan. Experiment. I have patients who can only eat 1 egg a month and their cholesterol goes high. I have patients who can eat 10 eggs a day and nothing happens to them. I can have patients who can't eat red meat, can't have eggs, can't have seafood, can't have high levels of carbs. Their diet is something that I can't sustain, right? So that is the important part that we need to look at. Anyways, the whole purpose of this is to help you realize that you are wonderfully and magnificently done. You were built in a way that no one can replicate. You have 30 trillion cells, all of which are cheering for you. All of it is just helping you be who you are in the moment. Your eye cells don't magically migrate to your ear cells. Your mouth cells don't magically migrate to your hand cells. They have their predetermined function and they stick to it, right? And they're all in service to you. So you have this trillion-dollar machinery that is working tirelessly to allow you to be the best person that you can be. I would suggest you owe it to yourself to really find out, to listen and explore just how amazing your health can be when you interpret the signals of your body the way that it is showing up. That is all I have for you this time. I have enjoyed my time talking with you. Please reach out, comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are with regards to the information that you are getting and what it is that you'd like to hear more about. Because at the end of the day, I'm here in service of you. Have a wonderful